So from this lecture onwards, let's actually go ahead and start creating our expense tracker application. So the very first thing which needs to be done is we need to go ahead and create a container which is going to hold the virtual environment as well as our Django project. So let's create a new folder here on the desktop, and I'm actually going to name this thing as, let's say, expense tracker. And now let's open up this particular folder in terminal so that we could create the virtual environment as well as the Django project. So I'll open up a terminal here, and I would go into the desktop by saying cd desktop, and here let's go into the expense tracker. So cd expense tracker. So once we are in there, here we first of all need to create a virtual environment, because after creating virtual environment we need to install Django and then create a Django project. So virtual env, and now once the virtual environment is created, you'll be able to see that up over here. So let's clear up the screen. Now the steps to activate virtual environment on Windows are going to be a little bit different, and they are covered in the previous sections. So if you're confused about that, make sure to take a look at that. But on a Mac, what you need to do is, once you have created the virtual environment, you have to go inside that environment by saying cd env, and then you have to say source bin/activate, and that's actually going to activate the virtual environment for you. So now let's go back to the main project directory, which is expense tracker. And now once the virtual environment is activated, let's install Django by saying pip install Django. Hit enter, and that's going to install Django for you. So let me clear up the screen one more time. And now once Django is installed, we could finally start creating our Django project. So here I would say Django-admin start project, and let's say the name of our project is going to be my site. So I would simply type in my site here. Let's hit enter. That's actually going to create a project called as my site. So if I type in ls, I will be able to see that we have the my site project here. Now let's go inside my site, and now here we actually need to create our very first Django app. So here I have to say Django-admin start app, and the name of our app is going to be, let's say, my app. So to keep things simple, we will call the project as my site, and we will call the app as my app. Hit enter, and that will create the my app for you. So let's open this entire project up in VS Code, and let's take a look at the directory structure. So I'll simply open up VS Code, and in here I'll open up the expense tracker app which we have just created. So I'll open up the entire container, and in here you'll be able to see that we have this virtual environment, and we also have this my site directory in which we have my app as well as my site. Now the very first thing that needs to be done is, whenever you have created a new Django application, you have to include that particular application in the settings.py file up over here. So as we have created the my app, we need to include it inside the installed apps directory. So here I need to say my app. Once that thing is done, we should be good to go. So now let's actually test our app by running the server. So python manage.py run server. Now it says that we have certain unapplied migrations, so we need to apply them by saying python manage.py migrate. So let's do that as well. So I'll clear up the screen, and I would say python manage.py migrate. Once I've done this, as you can see, the migrations are now made. So now once the migrations are made, let's run the server again by saying python manage.py run server. Now the server is up and running, so let's open up this particular link in a browser. So here, as you can see, I've actually opened the Django project inside of a web browser, and this is what it looks like. So that means now Django is up and running, and we could start creating the functionality for our project. So from the next lecture onwards, let's go ahead and let's start working on the expense tracker app by creating a model. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.